Hello everyone, welcome back to Vickie's Country Home. If you haven't been here before, welcome. My name is Vickie. I live in northern Nevada off-grid on 40 acres in the high desert that currently just keeps getting snow and more snow. So that being said, I'm inside today because there's not much I can do outside. And I'm going to talk to you about what I'm working on. First is my sister knows my love of cooking, and she also knows I love to grow things. So she bought me this mushroom growing kit from Tahoe Mushroom Company. They're in South Lake Tahoe. I've never grown mushrooms before, so this is going to be a new thing for me. And it's supposed to be real simple. I hope it is, and I hope it works well here in the desert where it's pretty dry. This is Tahoe pearl oysters, and let's see how, I'm going to show you how to get it started, and then we'll have to follow up later. Apparently, all you have to do is, I've got a razor blade, but you could take scissors or a knife and cut an X in this plastic. I'm going to open it so that it can get the moisture to it. And you can see the fungi growing inside. Apparently, all you have to do is mist it several times a day. So we'll see how this does, and hopefully my cats will leave it alone. That's another thing to be concerned with. So there it is. I'll update you later on how this goes. Now, something I have been seeing online, and I have not tried this method up till now, is keeping berries fresh in your refrigerator. Now, normally what I do is when I buy fresh berries, I rinse them in vinegar water, and that keeps them from molding so fast because they tend to do that on me. But this says just put them in a jar, seal it up, and put in the refrigerator. So I have put these strawberries, it's been over a week. I've done nothing to them at all. There's no mold. They don't look shriveled or bad in any way. And that's a week in the refrigerator. Now, blackberries also seem to do that. So I take that back. This is a week and a half on the strawberries. I also have had problems keeping blackberries, and the same types of issues is that they will get mold on them and get soft and no good. Well, these have been in there. Today's Thursday, and I bought these last Friday. They are not soft, they're still firm. They look perfect. So I would say that this does work. It is a success. I'm not sure how long it will keep them, but we're going to see. I may use some of the blackberries and cook something, but I'll save some just so that we can see how they're doing. So this next bit is something that is very interesting to me, and I hope it will be to you. I've been cooking almost my whole life. The first thing I cooked, my grandmother helped me make when I was 4 years old. So, and that was okra gumbo. It's one of my favorites. So I've been cooking a long time, and I've always just thought of salt as salt. There are more natural salts, and then there's the more processed salts, but they're still salts. But I never understood why you could follow a recipe exactly and it either has no flavor or it's really salty. And I started looking that up because it fascinated me. So today what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of explore salts. And I just have some of the many kinds out there. These are ones that mostly I bought a couple because I wanted a wide comparison. So the first thing I did is measured out 1 tablespoon of each, and they're all in the same type of bowl. I have Morton coarse kosher salt, which to me does not seem coarse. Maybe slightly, but it's actually fairly fine grained. Then I have Diamond Crystal Pure and Natural Kosher Salt. The same, right? And it's a finer texture and it feels different. This one was new to me, so I ordered this. This is Maldon Sea Salt Flakes. And this is very different. It's big old coarse things, but the texture is really, really interesting, and I'll talk more about that later. This one is Falksalt Himalayan Flakes, and these are definitely pink salt flakes. They're large, and they are large, flat flakes. This one, I'm not sure if this is a Himalayan or a real salt. I think I put real salt in this container, but I don't remember for sure. Don't say that I'm telling you wrong. It's either real salt or it's a very fine pink salt. But it's got lots of minerals in there. You can see the different colors. And then this is the real coarse Himalayan pink rock salt. I don't think this is the same as real salt. I think it's a different type. But these are coarse crystals. And again, you can see a lot of the minerals in it, and it's coarse. So I've measured out 1 tablespoon of each one. Now the next thing we do, we weigh them because we want to see how much different they are. So I was distracted here by Bacon Bits the puppy, and I did not take into consideration the weight of these glass containers. So I am putting on the screen, I will show the actual weight of each of these salts. Now, this first one is the Morton Coarse Kosher Salt. And I'm weighing in grams because it's a smaller number, a smaller unit of measure. And that is 175 grams for 1 tablespoon. Diamond Crystal is 166 grams. So even though these are both kosher salt, that's a big difference. And you need to remember that, because if a recipe calls for kosher salt, unless it says which, it may not be the one you have. So you're going to have to just test and measure when you see kosher salt without a brand name. Some recipes will tell you which brand, but most don't. They'll just say kosher. Now this is the Maldon sea salt crystal flakes, and that's 168. Close to the kosher salt. The Falksalt Himalayan flakes, that one's hard to say, is 166. Now this one, my mystery one that I'm not quite sure of, is 176 grams. More like the Morton kosher. So it's heavier. Again, that's a very fine, and so is this one. This seems fine, but it weighs different. And then this is the real coarse Himalayan pink salt, and that's 179. That's also very heavy, just like the kosher and the mystery one over here. So right there, it tells you something about if something's going to taste salty if you go just by teaspoon, tablespoon. Now, first of all, I want to talk about this Maldon. I am in love with it. It's not for everything. Now, this was kind of pricey, and I was debating whether to get it. And after buying it, I bought some more because I love this stuff, but it's not for everything. These are very odd-shaped flakes. And they don't really compare to anything else there. But what I love about them, if you're going to put this on something that you want salted caramel or salted chocolate or something like that, and yes, this is going to change the measure, but we already did that. I don't know if you can hear, they're crunchy. And it has a really nice salt flavor. This is on anything that you just want a tiny sprinkle of salt that will pop, that will give the contrast to the texture, but also to the flavor. So I would use this for anything salted caramel or salted chocolate, or I have bacon bits moving my tripod around. Anything like that, that you're just, you want that texture, and it's very noticeable. These two we're going to compare in a minute. I have not tried this yet. This is the Falksalt Himalayan flakes. And again, these are very, very different because they're very thin flakes of salt, but they're very big. Looking at these flakes afterwards, I was very surprised to find that they are pyramidal in shape, four-sided, and hollow inside. They are very different from anything I've ever seen. So I'm going to see what that's like. Wow. It is really, really salty. A whole lot saltier than the Maldon. It tastes good. And you could probably use this in some of the same ways as the Maldon. I would just be a little bit cautious just because that little bit was very salty, but very interesting. And so I got to think about that one. And this is the fine mystery salt. Very fine texture. It has a really good taste. And it's not as intense as this Himalayan flakes. But it's a fine texture, and I'm pretty sure that's real salt, but don't quote me on it. And then this is the real Himalayan crystal coarse salt. And again, lots of minerals in it. A coarse texture, very mild salt taste. So you can see the difference. These two, this one and this one, have the texture. That one's mild. This one's very intense. This was kind of in the middle. This one's, it's perfect amount of salt. It's just, the texture is amazing. Now, from doing my research, the diamond crystal, and this is one of my favorites for using kosher salt. This is what I normally would use for kosher salt. According to this description, it has a soft, delicate texture that's easy to crush between your fingers, so you can control the size of the salt crystals. It also dissolves very rapidly, and it's hollow and irregularly shaped, so 1 teaspoon of this contains fewer grains than 1 teaspoon of other brands. And again, we get back to the weight. This one was very heavy for the same amount. This one was lighter. So this is my favorite of the kosher salt. Now this one has bigger, crunchier flakes, and they don't distribute as evenly or consistently. But it still is a great salt. It's just, this is my preference. And the trick between these two is to measure them properly so that you're adjusting for the difference. So when you're using a recipe that is designed for this one, the diamond crystal, you want to decrease the volume by 25% when following a recipe that calls for table salt. And I would say maybe not 25% here, but you're going to reduce the amount. I could go on and on with so many other types of salt. There's the table salt, iodized. There's so many types of salt out there. But what it comes down to, find the ones that you like and get some ideas from what I've told you here and for what you're going to use salt in. Again, this is going to be my #1 favorite for everyday use, and it's Diamond Crystal Kosher Salt. I like how easily it dissolves, and most recipes turn out well with this. That being said, I almost always use less salt to start and add more to taste, because your other ingredients could be different, but also, as you can see here, your salt can be very different. That's my #1. This is my backup for kosher salt, and I use this one frequently. Again, I think this was the real salt. I can't find my container to match it, but I believe that's what that is. This one is just complete surprise, and I'm going to have to figure out how to use it. But this right here, it's not inexpensive, but I absolutely love it, and I have been using it. And just to show you, I mean, I bought these probably 2 months ago with the intention of doing this video, and with my work and life, I have not been able to do it yet. So this was fairly full, maybe to here. And you can see, using it directly out of this container, that's how much I've used. I like it on avocado that I've sliced up. I don't know what all I've used it on. I've used it on some dishes that I just wanted it to be on top and to accent it. So anyway, I hope this gives you food for thought. And maybe you get out your different salts and taste them, feel them, weigh them if you want, but get an idea of the salts that you work with and what they can do, because there is a huge difference in these. And again, some very surprising ones. These two, I had no idea. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll leave links for some of these down below. Thank you for watching, and God bless.